Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and I'm here with my co-host Frank Santopadre, and because the response was so great to our last episode, we're adding a new one where we recommend 2 movies.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by the big response that we got.
There were people screaming. There were crowds.
I wanted an accounting of how many people watched The Swimmer.
Yes, I had to hire a small army with rifles to shoot people who try to swim toward my house because now I live on an island to get away. Because the response from that live show was so amazing.
Pitchforks and torches.
Yes.
So this week, what's your movie pick, Gil?
Okay.
And I'm in suspense because you haven't told me this week.
Yes.
So I'm about to be surprised.
Now, this is an odd one because it's funny. Like on Turner Classic Movies, Robert Osborne has a thing that he calls essential movies, the essentials. Okay, this one's not an essential. Okay. It's a movie that's not perfect. And
it's optional.
Yeah. It's one of those, I would put it in that give it a chance category. And it's like, so it's I would make a new category, the give it a chance movie.
Okay.
And
I'm intrigued.
It's a movie, a comedy called Bye Bye Braverman. And it starred George Segal.
You've talked about it when Attell was on the show.
Yes, and one of my old co-stars from the Problem Child movies, the late, great Jack Warden. It also had Sorrel Book, who was Boss Hogg's son.
Right. So I always thought it was pronounced Sorrel Book.
Oh, maybe Sorrel Book.
Sorrel Book. Okay. Yeah, the late Sorrel Book.
It was Dukes of Hazzard. He was Boss Hogg. And I'm very proud of this. I think the only Jewish Bond villain, and that's...
Joseph Wiseman.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, who was playing an Asian. He was
right.
Dr. No.
Right. A Jewish guy playing an Asian Bond villain. Only in Hollywood. What is the plot of Bye Bye Braverman? Because I've never seen that one.
It's a very odd movie where Braverman is a childhood friend of all of them. They've been friends for years. And they're all like kind of Jewish intellectuals. And he was a friend who dies. And the whole movie is they're living in Brooklyn, and they all squeeze into a car, a Volkswagen, of course, which Joseph Wiseman refers to as a legacy of Hitler. And the whole movie is they're driving through Brooklyn. They don't have the exact address of the funeral. And it's like they're kind of lost and wandering and getting into these weird misadventures.
Sidney Lumet directed it?
Sidney Lumet, the legendary Sidney Lumet, who himself said it's not a perfect movie. But he did say it's his most personal movie.
Bye Bye Braverman, starring George Segal.
And Alan King pops up in it.
Oh, that's right, because we talked about that.
As does Godfrey Cambridge.
What a cast.
Yeah.
Godfrey Cambridge, we should explain, who was most famous for a movie called The Watermelon Man.
Oh, yes. You're with a very, very convincing white makeup on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Godfrey Cambridge. Okay, so Bye Bye Braverman.
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk about, and before I jump onto mine, Bye Bye Braverman show on television at any point?
I don't know.
Does it turn up on TCM?
It's popped up on TV. I think your chance of finding
Does
it.
TCM run it?
I don't know.
Right. It's sort of, my knowledge of it is limited, because I haven't seen it.
Well, your knowledge on everything
most things.
Limited.
But
I've worked with you, and I can honestly say the only thing lesser than your knowledge is your talent.
My knowledge is not essential. It's sort of like a Mazursky film a little bit,
yes,
I think,
yes.
tonally,
It's an odd comedy.
I want to recommend a comedy that's a little more contemporary. It's called After Hours. It's a Martin Scorsese comedy. And again, as with The Changeling, which I recommended last week, it's not the world's most obscure movie, but I think it's fairly obscure as a Scorsese movie because it's not one of the movies that's mentioned when you talk about Martin Scorsese. Raging Bull comes up, and Goodfellas comes up, and he didn't direct a lot of comedies. This one and The King of Comedy, I think, are the only two out-and-out comedies. Although Goodfellas has its funny moments, and it's just a screwball comedy. It's Griffin Dunn plays a guy who goes down to Rosanna Arquette's apartment on a date, and he just enters this nightmarish situation where he basically can't get out of Soho.
Yeah, he's stuck there with no money.
Right.
And it's pouring rain outside.
And one thing turns it's a movie that you'll love, particularly if you're a New Yorker or you ever lived in New York City.
And Cheech and Chong pop up in it.
Cheech and Chong, an all-star cast: Terry Garr, Catherine O'Hara, Rosanna Arquette, who I mentioned. It's a very, very funny. John Hurd, very, very funny movie. Very black. Written by a guy named Joe Minion.
You know, the movie Shaft was very black.
So was Watermelon Man. You're incorrigible. And as Leopold said, I wouldn't encourage him. So After Hours, Martin Scorsese picture. I think it's 19. I'm going to guess on the year 82 or 83.
But for you,
maybe later.
1860.
Anything else you'd like to say about Bye Bye Braverman?
Not particularly, but no. I also love that a lot of it are these like helicopter shots of Brooklyn.
In Bye Bye Braverman.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it might be me being a Jew from Brooklyn, and I love the movie.
I love 70s movies where you get to see old New York,
yes.
like Taking
yes.
of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and Serpico and the Super Cops, and you see, and the French Connection.
Oh, yeah.
And you see old Manhattan. You could see cigarette machines.
Oh, yes, yes.
And Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and in Serpico, there's like a candy machine in the subway.
I love it.
And they don't have those anymore.
No, they don't have cigarette machines either. So we both picked movies set in New York City.
Yes, and during the 70s, I think, unless Braverman might have been the 60s. I don't know.
I think it's right on the cusp.
Oh yeah.
And After Hours, I think 85. Now that I think about it, we should really research these before we actually recommend them.
Bye Bye Braverman has this. I think the Braverman waltz playing through it. That
1968 on Bye Bye Braverman.
Yes.
Dara Gottfried,
Yes.
thank you very much. Crack
That's like da da da
research.
da 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 da.
So if you like these suggestions and you watch them or you know about them or you want to talk about these films, tweet us, leave comments on iTunes, contact us on Facebook or Twitter at Real Gilbert or at GGACP or at Frank Santopadre.
And this is Gilbert Gottfried saying, if you ever wanted to be a co-host, please call me, email me, get in touch with me right now.
He's satanic.